to the program. It's still the weekend edition of Global Morning, where we learn, we speak about trending political and social, cultural issues. We have all of this information on the program. We have joining us now to help make sense of our discussion about public service empowering women for national development. We have Rabi Usman Tedmaned, who is Executive Director, Contact and Mobilization, Focus Africa International Women Forum. Thank you so much, ma'am, for coming on our program.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right. So,
can I help you out? My name is Rabi Tedmaned.
Thank you so much.
Mrs. Yes, thank you.
Okay, so we'll talk about women and the critical role women play in public service. How important is women participation in our economy, in our nationhood?
Okay, I will start by saying that women, as we all know, are mothers, wives, daughters. Women are the basic or foundation of development of any country or society. As parents and women, we hold the position and the role of guiding in the house, within the family. You guide, you build, you train, you birth. So I think the roles are enormous to me.
But we've not really seen, maybe in an elected position, we've not really seen as much women in Nigeria over the time. We've not had a woman governor yet. There are over deputy governors in Lagos, Akwa Ibom, and a few other places.
Yes, that is true, but I think and hope that someday, sometime, women will lead, but particularly because the women are not given the opportunity to lead, and that is, for me, I think it is not fair. But women have the opportunity, they have the talent. There are women out there that are really talented and could lead. Just that what I come to realize is that the men are, male-dominant society anyway. But I think if women were to be allowed to be in the position of leadership, there's nothing stopping them from performing excellently.
Right, so you talked about being allowed, but if we look at the last census we had, it's a long time ago.
Yes.
But we know that women, we have more women in Nigeria, according to that census. And I like to believe that that's the progression. Now we have more women, meaning that if they support themselves, they would. Is there a problem of women supporting women? Do we have those kind of problems in Nigeria?
Yes, we do. Because there are factors that mitigates and does not allow the women to be in positions. These factors are that the male are dominant. There's this cultural belief that women are not to be heard or seen. They should operate behind the scene. I don't believe that. Women are strong supporters of any operation you can give them. That is, even at the home front, women are the ones in charge. They assume leadership roles right from home. Women are subjected to the background, sometimes because of cultural reasons, but those or religious ones, just like where I come from the north, they believe that women are just to be behind the scene at home. But with the current development all over the world, we have countries like Tanzania, where a woman, Samia, is the head of government. Other countries are there that exist in Africa, but that's the only African country that I have seen and researched on, that is Tanzania. Other ones are in Europe, Asia. Women are in leadership role. All we want to do is that these women of Nigeria or Africa should be encouraged, and women should stand up for themselves and make themselves available, because out there we have so many qualified women that can assume such roles in parliament and other spheres of life.
All right, so we've talked about this. Let's look at in our society. One of the roles that we've seen women play has been that the tools of production, majorly, run by women. Women are so involved in a production process.
Yes.
How can we have women, how do we get women to be supported to put this production in large scale? Because what I've noticed is that it seems the work they do is in small scale. If you go to the markets, crayfish seller, this, but when it comes to the bigger, production circle, you rarely see women. So how do we expand this reach so it's not just small scale?
Okay, that's where the organization, the African Focus African Women, basically its mission is to uplift women, empower them, give them the technical know-how, and that can be done through trainings and then supports from other bodies like the NGOs or the international bodies can help in training women so that they can be upgraded from the level of just being market sellers, crayfish sellers, and then to be upgraded to the level of governance. And then why that is ongoing, you can have women also can be supported also by our male counterparts, women in politics, women that are already established. They could help in these such areas so that women will be encouraged, and such women, we have talented women, but all they need to do is just a little push for them to be out there, and they'll be able to excel in whatever field of endeavor.
All right, so you talked about Focus. I'd like to know, what is the Focus Africa International Women Forum about, and how does it operate?
It operates in the sense that mainly its mission is to bring out the difference, that is the gender disparity that exists within the community. They are out there to train women, empower them, so that at least they can be able to bring out their talents and be able to participate in whatever level and spheres they find themselves.
All right, so walk us through some kind of success story or some kind of empowerments that the Focus Africa Women International have done, and what are the real life impacts that you've seen from this kind of empowerment?
Basically, the existence of the forum, the body is already operating in about 29 countries of the world, and in Africa, all over, in Europe, and then in Nigeria. We are trying to see that the Focus African Women brings out a lot of our women in leadership role, encouraging them, and then recognizing them and their inputs so far, what they've done to uplift or to transgress beyond what we are in Nigeria and Africa.
So one of the major challenges that we've seen over time to women involvement in national life has been economic disparity. There seem to be more economically advantaged men than women. How do we bridge that divide, and how was it created in your mind?
It was created right from the, from the traditional olden days, from ancient times. Women are just, a lot of women, like I said, with this present day, like in where I come from the north, women are now coming up, education-wise. Our parents are allowing women to, you can even check on records now, you can see women doing well. Women are in offices, they hold important offices like ministers in the parliament, though the number of women are yet to be what I think it should be. But with time, with the push that the African Focus Forum, we will, I think and believe that we'll have more women in various leadership roles, even down to the economic level. Once the forum takes off, like we want to inaugurate our own district of it in Africa and in Nigeria. I think a lot of women will benefit.
All right. So this problem of having this disparity, is it just a Nigerian problem, or because you call the group is called Focus Africa? So when you look, is it like an African-wide problem, or is it just a Nigerian problem, or is it greater in Nigeria than other places?
It is an African-wide problem, but the case study of Nigeria is what we are talking about here. In Nigeria, the number of women in parliamentary offices, or both political, elective and appointive, is nothing to write home about. And we are here to say and talk to the male counterpart that at least they should support women. They should support us so that we can have a balance.
Let's look at government. How about government being intentional in your assessment to putting women? I've seen different policies over time. Now we have the 35% affirmative action. There's a special seats bill that if the constitutional amendment passes may come into effect, although a lot of people also oppose, and I've seen a few women also oppose that. Let's talk about how the government has been bringing in women to lead the country.
Well, in that regards, we will say they've been, from what it used to be anyway, a lot of women have been in positions, but I think we could do more. More women should be, allowed to participate in running of the government, because women have this potential of leadership they can do. Since a woman can, run a home successfully, I don't see any reason why a woman should not be there. Though the men are the ones really our problems. I won't say a problem, but they are the ones that we will look at, because women, there are a lot of criteria and issues. And these criteria is that they use money, as a tool, because women are not really empowered. So, and politics is very, very capital intensive. So, and the woman is just there because without money you cannot. That is in Nigeria case study, but other countries, I don't think that is what obtains.
All right. So, I mean, some persons will even say a few women that were part, have they done better?
Yes, they have done. To me, if I was asked, you understand, to rate them, they have done well. We have a lot of women, like the likes of Aisha Ismail. Remember, she was once a minister. The likes of Haneye, they've done very well. And a lot of them, like Zainab Shamsuna, the former Minister of Finance, Zainab Maina, they've all been there and they did very well. So I think if more women are encouraged and put in positions, they will do well. That's what I feel.
All right. So I like us that we talk about the place of partnership. Because you've talked about, we need the men, but are you reaching out, your Focus Africa women? Are you reaching out to the male folks? How are you trying to build this partnership? Because I don't think the women can do it alone, or even the men can do it alone. We need partnership. So how are you building that partnership?
We are really building that partnership because right now, the government of Nigeria is partnering with us, with the Secretary to Government, being on top of the matter. He's the one liaising between the Focus Africa, and then to tell you that we don't operate alone. The government of Nigeria is part of our programs and activities. So in that way, I think it is an encouraging step for once. The government is really involved and is supporting the program.
All right. So you say that the government has been a supporter of women?
Yes.
Okay. We'll talk about women of your age. It's quite understandable. You've had relevant experience, or you could. But what happens to those women, those girls? They are not yet women. Those girls that are out of school, we see them quite a lot. Those ones who are given out into marriage at very young age. How does it affect our society at the end of the day?
Of course it will, because like I said earlier on, that women are home builders. they are already governors, or they are already leaders in their home. And at this point, if we now say the girl child to say is not educated, it will affect them adversely from that level. So we are trying, especially in the African Forum, to see that such issues are being tackled by empowering their parents, you understand, giving them tools, training them and retraining them, and then that way they will be able, to now bring up their children, send them to school, and then give them trainings. That way, those problems should be at least controlled or maintained.
All right. So because we see, especially in rural communities, a lot of girls do not have access to school. They have to trek for miles to get to school, and some of them cannot go. I've interacted with persons who, I'm not saying English is supposed to be, but some of them cannot even pass messages, and we are living in a very developed society now, and it raises concerns, and it seems more women, because like you've mentioned, they could be limited in means of production, how they're able to be rated in the society, and our society seems to be very class conscious, and the class, the women class. But I'd like to ask now, do you think there's an intentional approach by the elite to subjugate the population or some persons? Because maybe if they have more women, if they have more Nigerians who are interested, are educated, to be difficult, people will now demand more accountability.
In that case, I think, like you said, in the rural communities, a lot of programs are being put in place by the government, I know. But the implementation is the problem. And like I said, Focus Africa Women is on top of the matter. They've been doing a lot of programs, you understand, to alleviate such problems right from the rural areas. Communities are being taken care of. They are provided, technical know-how, that is by providing them maybe the basics of what they need at the rural level. Everybody cannot be in the city though, but once these communities are developed or are provided with the basic implementations or amenities like water, roads, education, schools, at least they will be able to at least reduce the level of illiteracy at that level, especially for the girl child. That way, I think it will help.
So, let's talk about how you are reaching out, of course, Africa, reaching out to other countries in Africa. What has the response been? Do you have joint programs with other countries?
Yes, the response is very great because we interact. It's like networking. We network among the African countries, and we do a lot of exchange programs, seminars, trainings. We do that a lot, and then we network, and then a lot of us, we do trainings and conferences. We compare, what obtains in my country or other countries, so that at the end of the day, we come up with a solution or one voice, so that the other less privileged African countries will benefit from such programs.
Okay, we talk about Africa, and some persons when we look at Africa are not very happy that the country seems not to have grown so far, or the continents rather. Yes. And what are the reasons why Africa seems to be stagnated when you look at the growth indices, comparing it with other continents of the world?
I think it has to do with the beginning of our colonial masters, I would say. They made us to believe that we cannot develop by ourselves, except if they come to rule us, or indirectly or directly. But as it is, the leadership heads, I think it has to do with our leaders. If our leaders are really proactive, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't progress, or we shouldn't move forward, or we shouldn't develop. these are the reasons why we should, change the narratives. That is it. We should train to take our destinies into our hands so that we can from there move on. And we have a lot of talented men and women that can, move our continent forward. All we need is to, integrate and then work together.
All right, so I'd like to ask this one now. We've seen that, we've always known that women are teachers. The first teacher you have practically are your parents, yes, but the moms will do more of the teaching. With the constant lack of value that we're seeing in our society, the depressment that we see in our society, the way people, a lot of absurdity that we see in our society, are women failing in that responsibility of being teachers, or is it that the children they teach are no longer listening to them?
It's not that the women are failing. We're in the 21st century, and there are a lot of things like your phone now. You understand a lot of what will I say? Is it development? I call them technologies. They are part of our problems here. In the olden days, African society, everybody is everyone's keeper. You are my brother's keeper, my neighbors. We live very closely, and then we monitor each other. Traditionally, you come together as a family under one umbrella. But these days, you understand, with the development of technologies, a lot of things are happening, and then the children are drifting away. The children these days from youthful age. Actually before this system of education used to be 7, 6, 3, and now it has been changed 6, 4, 4 like that. Children of you find that younger children from the beginning drift away from their parents. They move on. And this idea of that, in quotes, you have to go out there to school. Then our own time, we didn't have to go. All the knowledges that were passed to us by our parents and our teachers are the ones today taking care of us. And you cannot compare what obtained then to what is happening now. A lot of things have really gone way. It's not that the parents are failing, it's the technology and the developments, fast developments. So the children, I'm sorry to say that parents are not failing, but the new generation is having its own idea separately from what we had during our times. And we just pray that the olden days and the parents will come together and then have this idea changed.
Right. So
controlled.
Right. We understand that there seems to be a lot of, or there is a lot of economic difficulty now with some of the policies like with fuel subsidy removal. I've spoken to women. How are they coping, and how has it been for some of the women that you've had interactions with?
And honestly, it has not been easy. It's been difficult. That is to say, I know it and you know it too, but we pray that things will change and the government will look at the level of, especially those down there, middle class, even me. I retired 6 years ago, but if I tell you what I take home as a pension is not enough to write home. It's not even enough for me to maybe feed to maintain a house or to maintain my house or transport or anything. No. We have to look at it holistically, and the government will have to do something about it. It's not easy.
Right, so let's talk about that. Focus Africa, the Women Forum. Some persons have said women cooperatives could be the way to go to help women in Africa, women in Nigeria build capital. Some persons have talked about social intervention, what ideas do you have as to how to ameliorate or at least assist women? Do you think cooperative is a way to go? Should it be like a social intervention? Some persons have said, okay, once some women get to 60, they should be placed on some level of salaries, whether they worked for government or not. Right.
Exactly. I think that's where I'm coming to. These social cooperatives or social assistance do work in developed countries. I don't see any reason why it shouldn't work in Africa and Nigeria particularly. Like you said, I've put it in my best. I worked for the government for 33 years before retirement at the rightful age of 60. But I must tell you, it's not easy. Not easy at all. There's no assistance, there's nothing, the recognition is even not there. Nobody appreciates, And then the government, I will suggest or advise that it's not that just because you have retired that you cannot be of any use. You can still be of important use. You understand, like you said, you could be engaged, understand, at the level of maybe coordinating the women as it affects my gender. The women out there that has not had the opportunity of them, you can coordinate with the government. We can work together to see how we can uplift them socially and then economically. The ones maybe in the rural areas, in your communities, so that they can be able to be self-sufficient. You can provide them with a lot of things and support. You can donate a lot of technicalities for them to improve on the family line.
Tell us about, is there a program that Focus Africa have for women who may want to join? What's the process?
Yes, the processes are that if you want to join, yes, it is a viable platform and forum, because internationally, we have bodies that are ready, like United Nations. A lot of women out there, women leaders, important women, I will say, that have contributed. Some of them have held offices, some of them are at the level of former first ladies, head of government. We work with them, we interact, and they are ready to, assist us so that the women out there can be empowered, so that they can have what it takes for them to move the country forward. Their families starting with at the grassroots.
So how do they get in touch?
We, like I said, we network.
No, I mean for those maybe.
Okay, those coming up. The program is there. We are all over the country. We are all over Nigeria, and we've been doing a lot of activities. And we have our own program coming up. The inauguration of our own Nigerian forum, which is coming up in June. It was supposed to be this May or March, but it has been postponed to June, July. The program is going on, and the fact that the government is interacting with us, so a lot of advocacy will be done, and every information will be transmitted.
All right. So as we try to wind down now, I'd like to ask: do you think education is the major tool that can be used to emancipate women?
Or poverty. Education is part of it, but empowerment is the main thing. Whether you are educated or not. Okay, what if you are educated and you don't have, you are not empowered? Right. How do you operate? So I think empowerment is the main thing. Maybe apart from education, empowerment in different areas. Technically, you can do. We have these cottage industries. You can empower people. You can. And all you need, the empowerment needs a lot of support, whether technically, materially or financially. Financial is...
Right. We've seen people being empowered, and sometimes we even question some of the empowerments that are being done. People are empowered maybe with 100,000, 200,000, and you ask yourself,
can that
really be a springboard to take somebody out of poverty?
It could be a basic need, the money, but what you need technically is to provide them with tools. You understand? Maybe some of them are good at sewing, tailoring. Some of them are good at maybe production of, maybe soap making industries. Little things like that should be provided with the kids, the basic tools that they will need for them to take off, rather than the monies. Monies, yes, but what I feel is that they should be technically in their various areas of qualification or endeavor. They should be supported.
Right. So, how do we capture these girls, these young ladies, these women that it seems they've been forgotten by the society? How do we get them back on track again?
We will do that. African Forum is out there to do that. We'll get them, we'll communicate, like I said, we interact, we work together, we network, so that we'll be able to identify areas where, we have different peculiarities. What you need maybe in the north is not what we need in the south. So by networking, we'll be able to sort out those things among ourselves.
Okay, so you have women also from
all
the south.
Over from the south, from everywhere. We are operating already in more than 29, 28 countries already are networking. So we'll be able to do that.
So I wouldn't have allowed you if I don't ask this question. What are your expectations for the future of women in Nigeria?
Expectation is that I should see a woman, in every sphere of life. She will be able to take care of herself, her family, and then she will be able to stand on her own, irrespective of maybe whether she's a widow, you understand, a married woman, or a young lady out there. Those that even have the opportunity of going to school, they've graduated, at least they'll be able to stand by themselves, to work for themselves. We don't have to rely, everything should not be put on the government. Let me see. We should be able to use our talents and our physics and our hands to be able to take care of ourselves.
Have Nigeria been fair to women? Have Nigeria been fair to women?
I've said that before. We've been relegated, but I just pray and I ask that somehow, someday, maybe during my lifetime, I want to see a girl child being a president of Nigeria, governor, any level she wants to be. I pray that it comes to pass.
So what is your advice now to maybe a young girl in a village in Yobe, in somewhere in Delta, that's listening to you and is thinking, how do I even get started? I don't have funds, I do not have support. What's there in life for me? What's your advice to such a person?
Such a person, they have their, like you said, from Delta, we are advising generally for the government. You understand, I still plead and still talk to the government to take, responsibility of sorting from the grassroots, from the level of the local government. They should be able to do something and then to encourage these ladies and to put them on records that they should be able to take care of them, and that a lot of things should be put in place, checks and balances, so that we know that at least from the grassroots, from the local government level, things like this are being tackled, and with African Forum, women will be able to work in tandem, and together we pray that these issues are taken care of.
So is there hope for such a girl?
Come again?
Is there hope for such a person who doesn't have an uncle, who doesn't have anybody?
No, there should be hope for everybody. You understand? That is the basics of our organization, to get there and then to uplift those children and to make them better in their areas or various, irrespective of where they come from.
So your message is hang on, hope is coming.
Inshallah, hope is coming.
Thank you so much, Rabi Tedmaned, Executive Director, Contact and Mobilization, Focus Africa Women International Forum, for coming on the program. We wish you and your organization all of the best, and we hope to see, like you've said, in your lifetime, maybe we'll have a woman who will be governor of the state in Nigeria. I said governor, you said president. That's fine.
Inshallah.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
So Thank you for having me.
All right, so this is where we end this segment. We'll go for a short break and stay with us. We'll be right back.
Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis.